Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This lesson video is specifically about the 5th curriculum in our Module 2 Lesson 1, and that is the Reggio Emilia approach or the Reggio Emilia curriculum. This curriculum originated from Italy, and this was developed by a psychologist named Luis Malaguzzi, and the parents in the surrounding area of Reggio Emilia are placed in Italy. This curriculum was developed by the proponents after World War II. What are the principles, goals, and the philosophies of this curriculum? According to this curriculum, they have 7 guiding principles, and these 7 guiding principles make this Reggio Emilia curriculum unique from the other curricula that we already have discussed and those that are still to be discussed. Number 1 principle in the Reggio Emilia is that children are capable to construct their own learning. This is somewhat similar to the concept of Montessori, that children are thinking beings, that they are capable to learn on their own. In the Reggio Emilia approach, they consider children as the main initiators of their own learning. They are inspired by their various interests to learn, know, and explore their environment, the world around them. In other words, children in the Reggio Emilia should be treated as active collaborators in their education as opposed to just being passive observers. Second principle is children are collaborators and learn through interaction within their communities. According to this principle, learning is based on interrelationships, not just within the Reggio Emilia, but across all spectrums of learning. However, in Reggio Emilia, there is a close interaction between the teachers, the parents, and of course, the children. Based on this principle, this second principle, children are collaborators and they work best when included in a group or in a community as opposed to working independently. So this is also one difference between Montessori and Reggio Emilia, because in Montessori, it's more on developing independence. But in the Reggio Emilia, it's more on maximizing the opportunities to work with other children or even with adults. In Reggio Emilia, they place a focus or emphasis on working in small groups. That is why they say that learning should be collaborative and based on interrelationships. This is also based on the idea that we form ourselves through interaction with peers, adults, and the world around us. So that is their second principle. Let's proceed to the third. The third guiding principle of the Reggio Emilia curriculum is that children are natural communicators and should be encouraged to express themselves however they feel they can. That is why one famous idea of the Reggio Emilia curriculum is what they called as the 100 languages of children, which was of course written by the founder of this curriculum, Luis Malaguzzi. The main concept of this 100 languages of children tells us that children can express themselves more than one way. They have multiple means to express themselves, to represent their ideas and their learning, which could be in a form of art, poetry, music, movement, drawing, and many other means. So you can read these 100 languages written by the founder himself. The concept of 100 languages is that children are natural communicators and thus they should be encouraged to communicate through whatever way or means they can. Some children are comfortable with drawing. And so they show their learning, their emotions, their feelings through drawing or painting. Some use movement or dance to show how they feel, what they have learned. And some children also make use of words. Some will make use of creating something or through building something, sculptures, and they also exposed to a lot of varied hands-on and creative ways of expressing themselves. That is why in the Reggio Emilia approach, children should be encouraged to use many materials so that they can discover, communicate, and even demonstrate what they understand. It is then conversely the teacher's responsibility to facilitate the exploration of the child's surrounding. The fourth guiding principle is that the classroom environment acts as the third teacher. This is somewhat similar to the prepared environment of Maria Montessori. In the Reggio Emilia, they also consider the classroom as a resource to help children explore, discover, and learn about their world. That is why the classroom also is arranged in several spaces which are carefully selected and thought of by the teachers so that these will be used as media for children to learn and, of course, explore. The fifth principle is that teachers are partners, nurturers, and guides who help facilitate the exploration of children's interests as they work on short and long-term projects. So this is somewhat also similar with the previous curricula that we have discussed, highlighting the role of the teacher as a facilitator of learning, as a guide of children in their exploration or learning discovery. In the Reggio Emilia curriculum, teachers are partners in the learning process. That is why they are expected to be the ones who guide the children's experiences, open-ended discovery, and problem solving. The main goal for the teacher is to listen carefully and observe the children in their learning journey. Children and teachers are expected to collaborate, but it's the responsibility of the teacher to identify when a concept can be used to further discovery and learning. As a mentor, the teachers in the Reggio Emilia approach or curriculum do not plan learning projects or learning points in advance, like what most teachers in the traditional curriculum do. What they do is they actually listen first and observe children's interests, and from there, they plan the projects or activities of the children. The sixth principle is documentation is a critical component of communication. Actually, some of the curricula that we already have discussed also highlighted the importance of documenting children's growth and development through the use of various assessment tools. Teachers, in addition to playing the role of a guide, are also responsible for documenting the learning process within the classroom, and they also transcribe the verbal language used by children. Because remember, earlier I mentioned that the projects of children are not planned by the teachers in advance. They are actually based on the teacher's observations on what really interests the young children in the class. So what happens first is that observation first of children, and then from the observations, the teachers will actually compare their notes and they decide together what projects would be appropriate for children to work on based on what they have observed. Documentation also provides teachers an opportunity to evaluate their own work and exchange ideas with others. The purpose of documentation in Reggio Emilia approach is not only on observing children's interests as basis for learning experiences, but they are also good avenues for teachers to learn more about themselves as teachers. They get to observe what worked well, what did not work well, why it did not work well. And so teachers also will learn how to improve themselves out of the various documentations that they have conducted. Moreover, documentation also demonstrates to children that their work is of value, because through documentation, a child may finish their preschool experience at a Reggio Emilia Child Care Center with a portfolio that contains projects, pictures, photos, scripts, quotes, and all other evidences of their learning journey in the Reggio Emilia school. The last guiding principle of the Reggio Emilia approach is parents are partners in education. Reggio Emilia, like the other curricula that we have discussed, sees parents as integral part in the teaching learning process. Because parents have knowledge about their children. So parents are encouraged to meet with teachers and use what they know about their children to plan for more educational opportunities for kids. Teachers also in Reggio Emilia schools recognize and respect parents as the child's true primary or first teachers. And educators are positioned as advocates and learners alongside the children, also known as the second teacher. So in this curriculum, parent involvement is highlighted. Let's proceed to the beliefs about children and how they learn. What are the bases in the creation of the proponents of this curriculum? The theoretical bases are based on the ideas of Piaget, Vygotsky, Dewey, Gardner, and other constructivists, and the concept or process of learning by doing. I'm sure that if you already have watched the previous videos, some of the curricula also that we already have discussed use learning by doing as a guiding principle in teaching young children. They also focus in relationships, because remember, one of their important guiding principles is that learning is collaborative. Education focuses on each child and is conducted in relation with the family, other children, the teachers, the environment of the school, the community, and the wider society. Another belief of the Reggio Emilia curriculum is that teachers believe that time is not set by a clock and that continuity is not interrupted by the calendar. Children's own sense of time and their personal rhythm are considered in planning and carrying out activities and projects. This Reggio Emilia curriculum is also based on the belief that every child is unique and will express their interests in many different ways. And that is based on the composition of the proponent entitled The 100 Languages of Children. Let's proceed to their curriculum focus. They have this what they call as emergent curriculum. When we say emergent curriculum, the curriculum is not established in advance. So there is no set curriculum for young children. What happens is that children are met by the teachers first, and then the teachers do a lot of observations and then use the data from the observations in crafting the curriculum or the projects. And these are based on the children's interests. They also have this what they called a spiral progression or spiral curriculum, which children revisit same ideas or concepts over and over again, but with increasing complexity. This approach, however, does not guarantee that children will be able to learn basic academic skills, which are really valued by parents in particular, like reading, writing, and arithmetic. Teachers express general goals and make hypotheses or theories about what direction activities and projects might take and make appropriate preparations. After observing children in action, teachers compare, discuss, and interpret together their observations, and they make choices on what learning opportunities will be provided for children. And of course, these learning activities and experiences are based on the children's interests as observed by the teachers. The curriculum emerges in the process of each activity or project and is flexibly adjusted according through this continuous dialogue among teachers and with children. So they also have flexibility in terms of their curriculum. Whenever they observe an interest that is really prominent to children, they also use this observation to make other projects or learning activities for children. Projects provide the backbone of the children's and teachers' learning experiences. Projects are based on strong conviction that learning by doing is of great importance. They also discuss in groups and they revisit ideas and experiences so that they will be able to gain better understanding and learning. Ideas for projects come from the experiences of children and teachers as they construct their knowledge together. When we talk about projects, because projects are very important means of learning in the Reggio Emilia approach, these projects may last in few days to several months, or some projects even last for the whole year. Let's proceed to the roles of the teacher. Teachers are viewed as more than just a partner in education. They are actually considered as the nurturer, the guide, and of course, a very important resource of children's learning. Teachers also play several different roles in addition to that of a teacher. So the teacher here is a multitasker. They guide children through the journey of learning. They listen, they record, of course, because documentation is very important also in Reggio Emilia. And of course, they also display classroom experiences. They advocate for the children. They work closely with other colleagues and parents to foster an inviting, interesting, community-based learning environment. They get to know the personal rhythms and learning styles of each child. So this means to say that they do a lot of observations of the children, each child in the class, so that they will be able to get to know more of these kids and be able to understand these kids better so that they can plan more appropriate activities for the child. This next role of a teacher is only unique to the Reggio Emilia curriculum because I haven't really seen this role of a teacher in the other types of curriculum. In Reggio Emilia, teachers get to know the children more because children stay with the same teachers and the same peer group for 3-year cycles. That means to say from infancy to 3 years old and then from 3 years old to 6 years. Imagine the type of bond between the teachers and the children because they have 6 years together. So that means to say teachers will be able to understand the children better, and the children also will develop a very strong connection with their teachers because they have to spend together 6 years in their learning and teaching journey. So the teachers are able to develop more learning experiences that are very appropriate to children because they already get to know their children. Adults play a very powerful role in children's lives. Children's well-being is connected with the well-being of parents and teachers. Teachers also observe and listen closely to the children to know how to plan or proceed with their work. So this has something to do again with documentation. Teachers ask questions and discovers children's ideas and interests. It's very important for teachers to communicate with the children because it is through this that they are able to learn more about children's interests. They also work collaboratively with the other teachers. They also collaboratively discuss what they have observed and recorded with the other teachers because remember, they compare their observation notes so that they will be able to finally make choices on what projects or activities they are to provide to the learners. They also make flexible plans and preparations. They join or enter into the dialogues with the children. Communication really is essential in Reggio Emilia curriculum. They offer children occasions for discovering and also revisiting and reflecting on experiences. They act as partners with children in a continual process of research and learning. And they can be also called as the atelierista. This means that they are teachers trained in visual arts. They work closely with teachers and children in every pre-primary school and makes visits to the infant toddler centers. The teachers in the Reggio Emilia curriculum document the work and process of learning by keeping transcriptions or notes of children's remarks, their actual statements or phrases and discussions, photographs of their activity, and representations of their thinking and learning using many media. Remember, one unique feature of the Reggio Emilia curriculum is the 100 languages, 100 languages of children, which explains the idea that children are able to express themselves in various ways through art, movement, works, buildings, creations, and many other ways. The atelierista and other teachers carefully arranges all children's work and outputs. Because remember, a portfolio really is one of the important documentary evidence that the child will have at the end of his or her learning journey in a Reggio Emilia school. We're done with the roles of the teachers. Let's proceed to the roles of the learners. They have this what they called as the image of the child. The primary tenet of the philosophy is that all children are competent, curious, creative, and capable. Exploring their curiosities and interests can lead to a greater understanding and greater desire to learn. Teachers need to be aware of each child's potential, and it is their responsibility to help support and guide children through their learning journey. What are the roles of the parents? Of course, in the earlier part of this lecture, I already have highlighted that the Reggio Emilia approach or the curriculum highlights the importance of parents' participation. They consider parents as essential components of the curriculum or the entire program. Like the other curricula that I already have discussed, the parents in particular are encouraged to reinforce learning opportunities at home. They are also included in the advisory committee that runs each school. And so that means to say they also have opportunities for decision making. Parents' participation is expected and supported and takes in many forms such as day-to-day interactions with the children themselves, with the teachers of the children and other staff of the school. They also work in schools. They also take part in discussion of educational and psychological issues, special events, excursions, and celebrations. They also have the right to be involved in the life of the school because, of course, they are the parents of the children and they deserve to be involved in proper ways. Let's proceed to the daily schedule of the Reggio Emilia. The full day schedule provides sufficient time for being together among peers in an environment that is conducive to getting things done with satisfaction. So there are a lot of schedules, but I have here few examples. The program's daily schedule is flexible and remains responsive to children's interests and ongoing project work. However, the regular day might look something like this. So this is an example. We have here the time and then the activities. From 8 to 9, they will have indoor or outdoor free play with children. 9:15, they will have circle time, welcome, sharing and singing, setting project intentions for the day. 9:30, of course, that's their snack time. 10 to 11, they have free play, learning centers and project work, small group activities or special whole class activity, which can be doing music activities, large-scale art making, and many others. 11 to 11:15, that's their clean-up time. 11:15 to 11:30, they wash their hands and they set up for lunch. 11:30 to 12:15, lunchtime. 12:15 to 12:30, story time, while teachers clean up and set up for nap time. 12:30 to 3, that is scheduled for children's nap time. 3 to 3:30, cozy corner or story time while children are waking up. 3:30, snack time. 4 to 4:30, indoor or outdoor free play or small group activities or continued project work. And then 4:30 to 5, teacher facilitated or teacher initiated group activity, which can be in a form of dictated story, game, music and movement, and sharing, and many others. 5 to 5:30 could be outdoor free play while children are picked up by their parents or their guardians. Another example here, 8:30, that's their arrival. 9:30, morning snack. 9:45, meeting time, discovery time, project work, play activities. And then by 11, they will have group discussion, story time, songs, yoga, dancing. 11:30, lunchtime. 11:50, collect personal items and go outside to play and explore. 12:15, parents arrive and discuss the day with teachers as children continue outside playing or outdoor play. 12:30, that's their goodbye. So this is an example of a half-day schedule, and this one is an example of a full-day schedule. Let's proceed to the learning environment and the learning materials in the Reggio Emilia. The environment, remember earlier, I have discussed that the environment or the classroom is considered as the third teacher. So the environment is viewed as the third teacher and considered as a reflection of the image of the child. It is arranged to foster creative exploration while encouraging interaction and communication. So you really can say that they really value interaction and communication because they give emphasis to collaborative experiences of children instead of individual activities. It is open, it has inviting spaces filled with natural furnishings, real-life materials, mirrors, windows, and natural lighting. It contains also a display of completed project work, including those in progress projects. There is attention to detail everywhere, like in the color of the walls, the shape of the furniture, the arrangement of simple objects and shelves and tables. Light from windows and doors shines through the transparent collages and weavings made by children. The layout of the physical space fosters encounters, communication, and relationships. So the arrangement of the learning centers supports collaborative experiences. The arrangement of structures, objects, and activities encourages choices, problem solving, and discoveries in the process of learning. The centers and schools of Reggio Emilia are beautiful. Later, I will be showing you examples of their classrooms. They have healthy green plants are everywhere. So like the other curricula, they also have living plants in the classroom. And the Reggio Emilia approach also has that. Children's works are displayed in the classroom, and this is a form of documentation and a form of encouraging children and valuing children's work. The atelier is a special workshop or studio used by all the children and teachers in the school. It contains a great variety of tools and resource materials along with records of past projects and experiences. So I have here sample classroom setups of Reggio Emilia classrooms. What can you say about their classrooms? Okay. They have a lot of learning materials. It's bright and they make use of natural materials, learning materials like wood. Here, I have mentioned earlier that they display children's work, and this is an example. This is also a form of motivation for children to do better because they can actually see the works that they have done. And of course, the parents also will be happy to see the works of their children. It's very organized, colorful, and there are a lot of storage spaces. Another classroom. So you see, it's true really that they have living plants indoors. Okay, those are just few examples. There are a lot in the internet. You can search for more. Let's proceed to the last part of this lecture, which is on the other features of the curriculum. Earlier, it has been emphasized that documentation is very important in the Reggio Emilia curriculum because it allows the teachers to understand the children more. They also use the data from their documentation to plan learning experiences or projects for children. Aside from that, documentation also helps the teachers to improve themselves because they get to observe also their strategies. They get to observe what activities worked well, what activities did not work well, and what are the reasons why these activities did not work well. Documentation really is essential in Reggio Emilia. This serves the following: makes parents aware of children's experiences and maintain their involvement, allow teachers to understand children better and to evaluate their own work, thus promoting professional growth as teachers, facilitate communication and exchange of ideas among educators, make children aware that their effort is valued because they get to see their works, their outputs, and of course, documentation create an archive that traces the history of the school and the pleasure of learning by many children and their teachers. And one prominent documentary evidence of documentation in Reggio Emilia is the completion of each child's portfolio at the end of the learning experience. Another is cooperation. This is a very powerful mode of working because remember, one unique feature or concept that is being highlighted in the Reggio Emilia curriculum is collaboration. So that is similar to cooperation. This cooperation or collaboration makes possible the achievement of the goals Reggio teachers set for themselves. Teachers work in pairs in each classroom. So there is more than one teacher in a Reggio Emilia classroom. They see themselves as researchers. The teachers see themselves as researchers because they gather a lot of information necessary for them to plan the learning activities or experiences and projects of their learners in the class. And another here is the strong collegial relationships which are maintained with teacher staff, and this enables them to engage in collaborative discussion and interpretation of both teachers and children's work. Another also is the idea that children will stay with the same teacher for 3-year cycles. So imagine the relationship that children and teachers have. It is definitely rich and strong because they get to spend several years together. Reggio approach is not a linear and predetermined curricular progression, and there is no international training courses to become a Reggio teacher. Remember the concept of their emergent curriculum, that they don't have a set curriculum. Their curriculum is not established in advance. What happens in Reggio schools is that teachers meet with the children first. They observe the children in various occasions, and from their observations, they craft their curriculum. So you see that this is really child-centered. because the curriculum is based on children's interest, not on adults' interest. In addition, if the school is located outside the Reggio Emilia region in Italy, they are referred to as Reggio-inspired schools. Recreating a similar Reggio style then takes careful consideration of how both learning methods, environmental aspects, and relationships interact together to form basis of the philosophy. As such, there are key elements of the philosophy to which a school must adhere to be called as a Reggio-inspired school. So remember, if the school is located outside the Reggio Emilia region in Italy, it can then be called as a Reggio-inspired school, not really that Reggio Emilia school. All right, we're done with the fifth curriculum for Module 2, Lesson 1, and that is the Reggio Emilia curriculum. Should you have any questions about this lesson, please feel free to put your questions in the comment section, or you can use our FB Q&A section. That's it. Goodbye, teachers. Have a nice day.